Can you hear me? I don't wanna hear myself tonight. Yeah, sometimes I fight so many battles that you'll never see. And I know you've been fighting too, just like me. There's no place we can go where our hearts stay whole. Empty chairs and folded flags remain, but your love still runs through our veins. We tell the stories, keep the flame alive. You gave us reason to survive, and though we miss your touch, your spirit lifts us up. Heroes in the sky don't have to fly so high. We feel
Welcome in, everybody.
Hey, dude.
We have a...
I tell you, brother. I tell you, this is day 2 of us being together.
I know,
day
right?
2.
Day 2.
Right.
You follow me around?
Hey, I see what you're doing. I see where you're at. Well, man, today we have an amazing show. We have an amazing show because, you know, we got some special people that are going to be introduced. But James, why don't you go ahead and take it away with our sponsors?
Yeah, so, you know, welcome in, everybody. We just want to say thank you to our sponsors who make everything possible. Savannah, American Legion Post 135. They are located in the historic downtown Savannah, Georgia at 1108 Bull Street. They are a member of the largest veteran service organization in the nation. They were founded on the principles of service to our veterans and to our community, state, and nation. Their membership is open to any veteran who has served honorably and to active duty service members. They are home to the local 1110, Betty Bombers, Brighter Day, Centennial Bean, and Lee Chai. And their bar is open to the public. So they use that public space to hold several events in the ballroom each year. And guess what, Sean, as we always say, if you are looking to come to the Savannah, Georgia area, or you need an event space, go talk to our friends over at the American Legion Post 135, because that beautiful space, you can rent it. Gorgeous space downtown. So
do you have a point of contact for that?
Well, just so happens that one of our guests in the top, Miss Haylee Foster's, can help you there. But also they just did elections too. So I got to figure out, we got to get the new commander so we can start putting the new commander's name out there as a point of contact. Mm-hmm. But so we want to thank the American Legion, and then we also want to thank our other sponsors. So we have Annie Montenegro from Rawls Realty, AnnieSellsGeorgia.com. If you are in the market for a home in Savannah, Annie is an absolute phenom in the real estate business, and she helped me buy my house. She's helped so many other people. Go to her website, give her a call. Her number's on the screen. We also want to thank Mari Bennett from, I'll wait till it comes up so I don't mess it up, Realty One Group Inclusion. And so Mari is special as well, because not only is she a great real estate agent and realtor in this area, but she's also a part of the Homes for Heroes affiliate. So, you know, when she's successful in her business, she turns around and she turns that back and gives back to veteran organizations in the community. And Heroes in the Sky has been one of those for the last 2 years, and we are extremely grateful. So thank you, Mari. Yeah, thank you, Mari. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, American Legion. And let's get into it.
Absolutely. So, let's get into it. So tell us a little bit about tonight and what our guests can expect, because we've got an hour-long show that's going to be that's going to go by fast. I mean, it's going to go by fast. We have some amazing female veterans that are joining us that are just continuing to crush it day to day. So go ahead, brother.
Well, yeah. So welcome in, and I'm gonna let these fabulous young ladies introduce themselves. But we do have a special episode tonight. So our two guests tonight are not only women veterans, but they have continued to serve once they took the uniform off, and in different capacities. And I got a cat trying to scratch my monitor. So y'all, they served the nation. They served the nation, wore the uniform, and then once they took the uniform off, their service didn't stop, and that's what's special. So we have Miss Haylee Foster, and we have Miss Suzy Willis, and I'm going to let them do a quick introduction to themselves, and then we're going to get into some of the, the history of women veterans and their service to this nation, and also some of the challenges, and we're just going to let them guide the conversation and see where it goes, and we're just going to educate and hopefully reach a lot more women veterans. So, Miss Haylee Foster, if you could give us an introduction of who you are, and let's get this
bring her up
started.
In the box. Let's get her in the box.
She's up there.
Hi. Well, thank you guys for having me here tonight. I appreciate it. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, but I don't see her.
She's up there. Can you see her? I can see her.
I see her in the bottom. I don't see her up. I don't see her or Suzy in the box.
Nope, hold on. I am saving. I don't know. Wonder if that's why.
There you go. Click on that. There we go.
There we are.
Suzy.
You might have to save it.
Hey, Haylee.
Hi.
There we go. So, Haylee, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you again for having us here. I appreciate the invitation. Haylee Foster, and I served 5 years in the Air Force. I am the first and thus far the only woman in my family to have served in the military. I'm hoping that changes. That's sometime down the road. I have two daughters. One is not able to serve due to health reasons, but the other one is contemplating. She's mulling it over. And I was late to join. I didn't join right out of high school, so she's got plenty of time. My other daughter, who's thinking about it, she's got plenty of time. So I just want her to do what she does, and if she decides that's her calling, then she has all my support. But I currently work for the VA. I think I've got the best job in the VA because I get to work with the patients. I get to work with nonprofits in the area and collaborate with all sorts of people, including you guys and Suzy, and it's just the most wonderful, fulfilling job I think I've ever had, next to being in the military. And it makes me very thankful that I am able to continue to serve in that manner, and I get to see generations every single day, and it's humbling and rewarding and hard and the most perfect thing I could ever think of doing. So I'm very blessed that I get to do that job.
Well, I can tell you, as not all veterans enjoy going to the VA, and I can tell if, as a veteran, if I got to talk to a fellow veteran who worked there and enjoyed it, obviously as much as you do, I think that would also change my opinion on wanting to go there to get my needs taken care of. So just thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Suzy?
Well, thank you for inviting me. Honestly, this is my first podcast, so I'm a little nervous, but I'm in good company, so I'm much more comfortable now. I am a veteran of the Georgia Air National Guard, the 165th Airlift Wing, which is the best. I joined right after 9/11. I joined because of 9/11, and I got out in 2010. After talking to a lot of women veterans, I realized I actually had a better experience than most. But I've lived in Savannah for like 29 years, married. I'm a mother to fuzzy four-legged kids, a horse, and a little chihuahua who thinks he's big. And I'm one of the founders for the Women Veterans of the Coastal Empire. We are not even a year old yet as an organization, but we've been a group for about, actually, I think 6 years today. We've been a group. So we have 185 ladies, or as of yesterday, we have 186 ladies in our organization. And Yeah, it's very exciting. Excuse me. But yeah, thank you for being here. I can't wait to get started on the conversations. And as women, we have a lot to say and a lot of opinions.
Well, I can tell you, I'm really excited to maybe on another time really dive into what you guys do with the Coastal Empire and like find out how our organizations can collaborate and do things together, so we can also take a bunch of lady veterans out to go fishing and just kind of hang
Oh,
out
yeah.
and do what we do. So I'm looking forward to that. So why don't we go ahead and start? Why don't we just go ahead and start off and just talk about you both got some of the questions that we're going to kind of relate back to today, but everyday experiences, right? Related to gender bias, culture, daily challenges that you faced as a woman serving in the armed forces that was originally designed to just cater to men. But without you guys, it wouldn't be possible for us to continue to do what we do as a fighting force. And it takes everybody. So that's the great thing about it. But from your all's experiences, did you all ever experience or been made aware of like any of the gender bias and duties and interactions during time in service?
Of course.
Would you mind elaborate on that a little bit?
I'll go first. Yes. So I was, in logistics and air transportation at the 165th. And like I said, I absolutely enjoyed it. I called it my second dysfunctional family. And a lot of the guys that I worked with, majority men. I think there were out of a unit or a flight of like at 100 when we started. There's like 5 females. Eventually we had a female commander who was amazing. But we dealt with a lot of men who were older. The younger guys tend to be more open, but the older guys were not as much. But yeah, and there were challenges. Part of the challenge was that they thought that we would get in the way, which was annoying. And we had to prove ourselves. I felt so much more than the guys did. But one of the other challenges, the fact that at the time I wasn't married and I didn't have kids. I didn't have a family. And so that seemed to be even put me more down the line of less of a priority. They would, I don't know, take care of the other ones more so than myself.
I mean, that's understandable because they're not, dealing with family care plans. And then now we've got, probably initially there wasn't a lot of accommodations set up initially geared towards that. But Haylee, how about you?
So I might have had a little different experience because I was in medical, and I came in with a guaranteed medical in the Air Force, and I ended up in the dental field, which is very predominantly female. We had guys, certainly, but it was female heavy, and so we had a lot of camaraderie. And so at work, there was some of what you're talking about, not a lot. It came more from leadership. So we didn't have any female commanders. I never saw a female commander at all in the 5 years I was active. Even throughout, so I was at big medical centers, and so even throughout the larger medical center that we were attached to, we had female, like maybe flight leaders, and we certainly had majors and colonels, but no one was a commander of a squadron. No one was commander of a hospital. They're all men, and so that's where we had the problems. We're from the chiefs who were like E9s or the commanders. But as far as just interpersonal relationships with coworkers, no issues at all. It was very good. Predominantly female. The guys who were there were usually pretty open, and if they weren't open, there were plenty of us ladies to shut them down. And
you're outnumbered. They were the force multipliers. That's
right, it was. And so we had, when I was stationed in California, our break room was like a free-for-all. And so everyone understood if you went to the break room during lunch, it was no holds barred. And whatever you said there, if you got offended, then too bad, so sad, off you go. It was very nice. It was very relaxed. We were all buddies. In fact, We didn't just spend time at work together. A lot of us spent time in our social life together too, and men and women. It was a very good atmosphere at work. Like I said, the only issues I had a chief who was very domineering. And so he was a problem, not just for me, but for a few other ladies that I worked with. And then not off base, but not within our community. So I lived on base. I lived in the dorms, and there were certain issues sometimes there that we would run into. But like I said, my daily work, I was very fortunate that I didn't have to deal with that.
So in those situations where you had a senior leader who was of the opposite gender, like who may have felt a way to kind of just push their rank around a little bit, let's just call it what it is, right?
Right.
And maybe try to assert dominance. What were some things that you both may have done or experienced that, gave you all, a confidence, or was there the ability to have a confidence to bring up challenges and leadership challenges, since there were a lot of other female officers enlisted in those positions of authority?
Right. I don't know, Suzy, do you want to go first, or?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you this. When I was with my unit, I was protected. I was the sister. I was protected. So that was nice. When I was not with them, then it was more of a challenge. And you had to handle yourself in the most appropriate, way, military bearing, But the plus side, I guess, for me is that I joined in my late 20s compared to being a young person. So I didn't really have a whole lot of qualms standing up for myself, or if somebody was speaking to me a certain way or treating me a certain way, I stood my ground, or I went to, up the chain of command of how to deal with the situation. Or I always felt like I had some level of somebody I can trust to say, this guy over here is it's too much. So, I mean, and I kind of feel guilty that I had that opportunity, because a lot of women did not have that. I've heard some horror stories, but I think the plus side with me is that I was older, and, I was able to stand up for myself and be more aware of staying away from situations that were questionable. So unfortunately, fortunately, I really didn't have that kind of problem. But Haylee, I don't know about you.
Yeah. I've thought a lot about this over the years, and wondering, because I was 21 when I joined, which was old in basic training, because we had a girl in basic training who just turned 17. And so I was one of the oldest ones in my basic training flight. And so I felt old, but, in hindsight, of course, it's not old at all. But
Did they call you grandma? No, just kidding.
they didn't, but I was definitely, there was a lot of people that coming to me, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I'm like, I don't know. we're all in this boat trying to figure this out, together. Mm-hmm. But I also grew up very sheltered. And so that's something I've thought about a lot too, because I grew up very sheltered, rural Wisconsin, very rural Wisconsin. No women in my family had ever served. I had no support at all. It was very much just like a down deep desire I had, that I finally, when I was 21, I decided I've got to do this now, or I'm never going to do it. And so I did it. And my folks just kind of like, all right, well, I guess you sign up. And they went along with me.
But while you were serving, did you feel like you had, other than those couple incidents, that you could voice, or several of you could, through your chain of command, voice concerns, and that they would be taken seriously, or would they be brushed off?
So yes, I thought I could. So the couple of times that I had instances with leadership, and I will say nothing was like profoundly serious. It was like, when it happened, I was like, that doesn't feel right. I don't think that's right. But I also didn't have enough life experience either. Personal life experience, again, because I had grown up very sheltered. And so it was more of a, I worked with ladies who I was good friends with. And so I'd say, hey, this happened. What do you think? And they were more like, oh, that's not right. And so then they would kind of be my champion. And then that would, yeah. And so it sort of snowballed from that. And so at work, I did have a lot of support because I had friends who I can say, okay, what do you think? Is this okay? Is that okay? But when I talk about having grown up sheltered, and again, this is something I've thought about a lot, and it's a whole other topic, but I was raised to, you don't put yourself in a bad situation. And so as a woman, you have to take ownership of the bad situation you get put into, regardless of what the other person's behavior is. And so there was always a conflict inside of me, and still to this day is, because I was taught you don't put yourself in a bad situation, because if you get in a bad situation, well, whose fault is that? I put myself in a bad situation.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there's going through training and such that there's, like, from our side of being the male, I went through an all male infantry basic and AIT infantry and sniper school, things like this, where I didn't ever train or was never around females until I was on deployments. But I could only imagine, like in the Army, we have battle buddies, right? And I don't know what the Air Force calls them, if they call them battle buddies, but how would you all naturally just group up, or did the Air Force actually have a process that they wanted you to pair up?
Not when I was in. I don't know what
here.
Yeah.
I paired up with the other older person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the person close to my age, and I paired up with that.
Right. Yeah, you made friends. Yeah, you made friends. And so outside of work, I mean, we were all friends, but outside of work, I hung out with other ladies I worked with who were also single and lived in the dorms. And so we would pair up and we spent time together, and that's how they were our battle buddies. But we never had assigned battle buddies. That was not a thing, at least back then. I can't speak for now. And we would watch out for each other, and thank God we did, because there were certainly times when things could get very gnarly, and whether it would be on base or off base. But it was, unfortunately, the issues I always had, or not always, it makes it sound like it happened a lot, but the issues I had were always with active duty members, regardless of whether I was on base or off base. It was always an active duty person, which is really unfortunate. But that was also my world too.
Right.
Even when we were off base, we went to places that the active duty frequently went to, and so I felt this false sense of security, thinking, well, they're active, they're Air Force, they'll be fine, and no, not necessarily. But you keep a community around you that will, you look out for each other, very much so.
James, I'm going to pass the mic over to you to kind of explore some more of this. So
yeah, absolutely. And we got comments over here that I wanted to catch, but we got too far in. We got Myra over here, Army veteran, said, I hated being seen as the gopher. Go for this, go for that. Did any of you ever experience a similar something like that, where you were seen as the gopher, or was that ever an issue?
Well, like I said, I was older, and so, I was much more, I guess, secure and comfortable, and I'm not good with the military bearing all the time. So I would voice my opinion. I'm like, and doing stuff, but there was a lot of times I'm like, I enjoyed doing things because it was something I'm like, I've never done that before. What is that? Sure, I'll have to go do that, just because it was just maybe something different. But I don't remember anything really I thought was degrading that they had me do. I mean, they had terrible jokes, like chalking my tires of my car. But, they didn't have.
That's kind of funny. Ever. Actually, I'm not going to lie. That's actually kind of funny. Chalking your tires.
We had a great time. Yeah. Oh, I know. Well, I got stories. But I mean, they've never had me do anything that I thought was degrading. We had, the jokes. There was jokes, but there was nothing awful. I mean, because I was, I guess, taller, and I voiced my opinion a lot. I guess they were afraid that I would retaliate in some way. But if you were a petite female, that's a different story. One of the girls got, they used that big saran wrap lifted her up and saran wrapped her to one of the pillars, and then we all went to lunch.
Okay, so that was a
Oh, we
daily
didn't go too
occurrence in
far.
the infantry. That was a
Oh,
daily occurrence. Duct taping people to their cots, standing them up outside the chow hall. Yeah, that was daily occurrences.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
see that I'll say this: when I first joined, because I have a younger brother, and I didn't realize how great my brother was until I joined the military and had all these other brothers, and I'm like, God, my brother Doug was awesome because they were terrible, and I would go crying in the bathroom because I'm like going, what the hell? They're treating me like crap, and they're calling me names and stuff, and I was informed by one of my leadership. They're like, they do that because they like you. I'm like,
Absolutely.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
mhm.
I'm like, so being called a heifer is all right.
It's not.
I'm
Like,
with
I'm
that
sorry, I'm
woman.
laughing about that, but like I can only like see. Hopefully, they ended up being awesome people that you worked with. So
Yeah. Well, I had to ask them what a heifer was. I'm like, are you saying I'm fat? You know, they're like, no, you're an unbred cow. I'm like, that's better. Okay. Whatever. It could be worse. It
Right.
could be worse. I had no children, wasn't married, so I'm a heifer. I'm like, okay.
Right.
Bunch of rednecks.
It's like
I
I
mean-
feel awkward a little bit just even
That-
like laughing
at
about
least
it.
she's laughing about it. So
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can laugh.
Yeah. Once I kind of realized that, okay, I see how the game is here. Like I said, my brother was great. These guys were just relentless. But then this is part of the game. And then after a while, I was involved in some little things. But no.
You know, it takes you back to like when you're in elementary school, and when the boys mean to you, it's because they like you. You know, it's similar in that context probably. Where if you razz with people, I tell people if I'm not picking on you, that means I don't like you,
correct.
Right.
and that's a
Yeah.
fact.
Yep.
Mhm.
But we got a few other comments before we get to Haylee about this. But we've got Marty. She's in there, the foulest. I had the roulette mouth in the platoon. I think that might have been rudest, possibly the company. We've got people foulest. There we go. I was like the roulette. I mean, that's like what you never know what you're going to get. We've got Cynthia
Yeah.
Cruz, who's a battle buddy that I served with. She said she had to learn the regulations, every single section of them, to be able to defend myself in tough situations. So utilizing the resources that were actually your playbook, right? To say per Army regulation, this is the way this is supposed to be. You can't do this. So knowing and educating, I do believe is everything too, because you do get a lot of naive people who are young, male and females, who sometimes get taken advantage of, and not always in the nicest way too.
Well, you got another comment up here too about a lot of the times they weren't the best about showing you how to do the job expected of you, and basically seen as the flashlight holder. But that's and then we're talking about two, infantry and aviation are two different sectors of the military. And in Myra's, like, she had an NCO that actually took me in and taught her how to do her job. But I could see some of the same concepts between infantry and aviation, but then some different concepts there as well, as far as technical expertise and people showing you how to do it. But y'all went right past this conversation about what, the chalking your tires and stuff. Because one of the best things that when I came up through, I was in field artillery and aviation, and even a combat striker brigade combat team. And one of the things that we always used was either the ID 10-T form, where we would actually have like the lowest, like the E1, the E2, the E3 go ask like first sergeant commander for the ID 10-T forms, or just the little stuff like that. And we got in trouble for it, because when first sergeant was like, who sent you in here? But it was, did you ever remember more of those where it was worth it? Where for me, it was worth it to get in trouble. If they actually went through with it, that was pretty cool to. the air hoses for Humvee trailers, exhaust, the exhaust samples for Humvees, all of those things.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Haley being in the medical field, I'm sure that there were some shenanigans that they sent you on, right?
Yeah, I never got sent for it, but one of the things they would send people, the brand new airmen, would be like, "Can you go please ask for the fallopian tubes?" And
Oh my God.
how I missed that, I don't
Okay.
know. I mean, I would have
That's
known what
funny.
fallopian tubes were, but that was a thing.
Well,
That's good. That's really good.
Oh my God.
okay. I didn't expect
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, or they'd send, and I can't think of a name right now, but they'd have names. If you say them slowly, it wasn't very funny. But if you said them quickly, it was like, like somebody depends or something. I can't, like I said, I can't think of an example right now, but we used to have to go into the lobby and call for the patient to come out.
Mhm.
And they would give someone, a ridiculous name, and they wouldn't piece it together until they actually said it. And then they said it in front of all the people, all the patients. And yeah, that happened a lot too to newbies. But how I managed to escape that, I don't know, because it wasn't anything I did, or maybe they thought I wasn't funny, or I don't know. Yeah, when I got to my first base, so I got to Elmendorf, Alaska, and it could be that maybe I don't know, but I know they sent fallopian tubes. That was a very common thing, and they sent the boys out for that too, as well as the girls. So. Yeah, it was even more funny when the guys asked for that.
Okay, the comments. So there's some serious comments here, and then you've got Jen popping in with bend over. But like I need a second for a second. But one of the things that Marty said was if there was a male that was a POS, or or there's an individual problem, whereas females got basically grouped together. So you could have a female or male, and it goes both ways. If you're predominantly male and you have females, a couple of them, and somebody's not pulling their weight, it gives the rest of them a bad rep too, and it probably makes it tougher. I could see where that would make things tough too.
Yeah.
To get lumped in.
Yeah, I can say something to that, because that's another thing that there was an issue, is those problematic females that you had to be the guys for sure, but you had to be very careful being around them, just because I don't know what their problems were, but they were maybe overly sensitive. They were, for a better word, jerks about it. And so, but at least the guys in our squadron, they were like, just let us know where the lines are, because they want to have, interactions with us, but where are the lines? Because they don't want to get in trouble, because they've been in trouble, because, there will be these females that would be overly friendly, but if they didn't like one of the males being what they thought were too nice, then they were down at HQ and, having them written up. So I can understand that. We had some problematic females that, when they were trying to lump us in, say, "Oh, you females," and we're like, wait a minute, that's her, that's not us.
Right.
I was a team player. I feel like I'm a team player. But then you had some of these knucklehead females, but you had knucklehead males too that were problematic, and it made us kind of look bad. And then they weren't, I don't know, they were just difficult in their own way for whatever reason. Maybe they had to prove something. I don't know.
Right.
Well, we're about halfway through the episode, and I told you it's gonna fly. So if we can, James, I would love to go ahead and play our Women Veterans Day tribute that was done, and then when we come back, I want to talk about a few more of the more challenging environments and things that that kind of happened in the military, to see,
Right.
where we kind of grow from here as a group.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll go to a commercial break, and when we come back from the commercial break, we'll get back into these topics, get back into the comments. We got a lively comment section, so thank y'all. we're not reading everything you say, but we see it and we appreciate you. So let's go to commercial
Absolutely.
break real quick, and then we'll be right back.
She laced up her boots before the sunrise came, left behind her family, answered duty's call by name. She stood where the storm clouds gathered in the sky, held her head up high when others wondered why. She carried more than gear upon her back. She carried hope and courage down every rugged track. A mother, daughter, sister, friend, serving something greater until the very end. And some stories never make the evening news, but freedom still stands because of women like you. So today we raise our voices, let the whole world see the women who defended all the things we believe. For every sacrifice, every tear, every mile, every burden that you carried with a fearless smile. You wore the uniform with honor every day and helped light the path that others walk today. From grateful hearts across this land so true, happy Women's Veterans Day. America thanks you. Some served on the front line, some served from afar, yet every mission mattered, every battle left its scar. They broke down barriers, opened doors wide, showing future generations how to serve with pride. And when the uniform was folded away, the warrior spirit never really went away. Still serving community, still leading the way, still making this nation stronger every day. Their legacy lives on in every dream pursued, a testament to courage and a life of service too. So today we raise our voices, let the whole world see the women who defended all the things we believe. For every sacrifice, every tear, every mile, every burden that you carried with a fearless smile. You wore the uniform with honor every day and helped light the path that others walk today. From grateful hearts across this land so true, happy Women's Veterans Day. America thanks you, yeah. To the women who served and the women still serve, and your place in our history has always been deserved. And your strength changed lives, your courage made a way, and we're standing here because of what you gave. So today we raise our voices, let the whole world hear our gratitude and respect, growing stronger every year. For every challenge faced and every victory won, for every chapter written beneath the same sun. You carry the flag when your nation called your name, and because of your service, we're not the same. From sea to shining sea, red, white, and blue, happy Women's Veterans Day. And thank you for all you do. To every woman who served this nation proudly and well, your story is one that America will always tell. Happy Women's Veterans Day. We honor you, we honor you, we salute you, we thank you. We thank you.
Wow. Like, you
That
know
was
what's the
awesome.
what the awesome part about that is? Between James and I, we know about 85% of those women veterans. And that's the awesome part. When you stop and you think about it and you're like, wow, like different professions, different career tracks, different levels of success. It's freaking awesome. And you're muted, brother.
We had a few in there. Know that if you provided pictures and it wasn't in there, we do apologize. We put in there what we could. So there's missing a few in there that I sent you, but we'll highlight them. But yeah, absolutely. We know most of the people in that video, and that's the cool part is, and a lot of those people are direct supporters of what we're doing right now. That's the awesome, So,
but let's get into some of the deeper side of this, and on your pieces, it's really going to be kind of like number 6, number 7 that I'd like to spend the last 20 minutes kind of talking about, because it does bring us back to kind of what Heroes in the Sky does and what Nautical Salute focuses on, as well as Haylee and your job today, and Suzy with what you're doing as well. With the Women's Veterans of Coastal Empire. And that's really about isolation, sisterhood, representation, mental health, and the invisible strain. There's a lot of pieces here, and I'd love for you to kind of just share. Haylee, let's start with you. Were there any times during your time in service that you felt like maybe you had some emotional burdens or stressors, things like that weighed on you that may have affected things? And if so, like how were you able to go to leadership if you could, or how did you deal with it?
Right. I did have one situation that I actually don't talk about much at all. And I didn't go to leadership. I didn't go to anybody. I just kept it. And that goes back to being raised to believe that you don't put yourself in a bad situation. And so I was in a situation where things could have gone much worse than what they did. And I'm thankful they didn't. I'm thankful I had friends that helped. Without going into details, like I said, I don't discuss it.
No.
But I didn't go to leadership, and it was an active duty person. I was active duty. He was active duty. We were at a party that was all active duty folks. And so I thought I was in a safe situation, and I was not. But I never turned them in because, again, I believed I had put myself, I was in bad judgment. It wasn't dressed poorly. I was in jeans and a t-shirt. It wasn't anything, terrible. But I believed that I had put myself in a bad situation. And so I have just always kept that to myself. And I wish I had something better to provide than that. But I don't. And that's how I was raised. But I have very intentionally told my children and my son too, that when you're in a situation, it's not necessarily your judgment. And even if you do you make bad choices in a situation that you can't control, you are not responsible for other people's actions.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
And so even if you find yourself someday down the line, you've had maybe a couple extra beers or whatever, and your judgment's lapsed, the other person's actions are still not your responsibility. It's their fault for behaving the way they did. And you have to own yourself, always take responsibility for your own actions, but you are not responsible for the other person. And I have been very intentional in telling my children that. And I think that's important to tell our military members, male and female, because men can be put in a bad situation too. And I wish I don't have any bright shining. I went to leadership and they behave nobly or anything like that. I kept that one to myself, and I still do. Yeah.
What, and also too, do you think that when we talk about this, a lot of times with the challenges with women is like feelings of betrayal or feelings of you really can't trust the institutions around you? Do you think some of that plays into this is because of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when this happened, I was living in the dorms, and the single women living in the dorms. I mean, right or not. You had perceived, there was perceptions, whether that was correct or not. And so I knew that I had very little ground to stand on. And that never even occurred to me to turn him in. Never occurred to me. Never.
Well, we got a comment down here real quick, and we'll get to Suzy. So thank you, Amber, for coming in. Amber is another good supporter of what we do, and good friend of mine, been a friend of mine for years. She said that it breaks her I guess her special victim's heart that you dealt with that situation, and that she's happy to hear now that that we know that you were not responsible for the others' activities. So
yeah, and I'm okay. I am. It wasn't. I am fortunate in that it wasn't this. It was an event, certainly, and it's something that has weighed on me, but it's not life altering.
Mm-hmm.
I have a good life. I've had a good life. I don't. This is not some big dark cloud that really weighs heavily upon me. So I'm very fortunate in that respect. Yeah.
But I also think that speaks, volumes for even your own maturity from a young age. I think you said you went in when you were 21.
I was 21 when this happened. I was 24. Yeah.
But having the ability to kind of like, also hopefully even share some of that with other female service members, right, to kind of help warn them and such. I can already tell you the type of person that in confidence you shared that with people to kind of avoid certain situations like that as well.
I did. I never explained everything, but in my situation, it was I believe, I don't have proof. There was like something was put into a drink that I had. And so I've always been very aware since then. Gotcha. And told my kids about that too. So that was something I did share that, yes, back with my other friends, yes.
Suzy?
What?
Yeah, I had something similar happen, but I think even as women, even growing up, or like, you gotta, if any guy says or does or comes too close or touches or flirts with you, it's automatically our fault because maybe we were wearing something, maybe we behaved a certain way. And if they cross the line, that it's our fault. And then I think that's why a lot of women who go through this, don't say anything because, either we're not going to be believed or it is our fault. Maybe there's some guilt and shame and, that we did something wrong. I think that's part of it. And also we have this leadership, like I had good leadership, but at the same time, I kind of, if I had anything that had happened, I didn't tell them because even though I trusted them with so much, there's certain things I'm not sure I could trust them with. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And especially, if you got back from a deployment and you were like debriefed and whatever, and you were like, it was fine. I'm fine. Everything was fine. No problems. It's great, because you're also afraid to say something that if something happened or you're feeling down or depressed, that they're going to sideline you. They're going to red flag you or something. Mm-hmm. And I actually was told by my leadership to not say anything to medical. Mm-hmm. Not say anything because there was, I don't remember what words they said, but basically not to say anything because mm-hmm. it could be problematic. It's going to go on your record. And so you never say anything. Everything was fine. Everything is great. No problems.
I always try to tell my soldiers who worked for me that, any female you work with, you treat them the way you would also want someone to treat your little sister, mm-hmm. Or your mom, you know what I mean? It's that like, no, like that's my battle. And, Cruz, who's in the comments, she was my battle buddy. And for 4 years we served together. And like, I can tell you, we had a very tight knit group and there was definitely things that we could do and say, but I was very fortunate to see that we had a lot of strong women that I served with who also would stand on business and be like, oh, no, that's not going to happen here. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate that that doesn't happen everywhere in the military.
Yeah.
It actually angers me because it's like, it's not this hard. Like, treat people with dignity and respect.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
number one.
Well, I can tell you where it changed. It was good. I had 2 back-to-back deployments. And, you know, where it changed, is that everything was great with my leadership until we left. We went to Germany for 7 months. And one in particular leadership, somebody I trusted. I mean, nothing happened with me, but I saw him do some things that he shouldn't have. And I think that's when I'm just like, it changed for me. And I guess I did a blanketed, oh, I don't know who I can trust anymore type of thing. And so I was very cautious and standoffish because I saw him do something that I never thought he would do.
Yeah.
You know. And then also I was told, you know, when I was seeing other people doing things and like, are you going to say anything? I said, well, I'm not going to say anything unless somebody asks me, and then I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. But, you know, don't ask me. Don't have anybody ask me. But
if you report them, then you're ending their career. It's not their actions ending their career or impacting their career. You are ending their career.
And then you get a title. You're another problematic female.
Yeah, right.
James, you've got some statistics that we talked about last night that I know you wanted to hit today that really it hits home to a lot of this, and it's heavy.
Yeah, so y'all touched on it a little bit earlier outside of the military sexual trauma, and we're talking about the mental health aspect to this. We look into women veterans' mental health, and we're starting to see some problematic patterns. And one of those being is our female veterans are 92 to 95% more likely to die by suicide than their civilian counterparts. And when we start getting into 92 and 95% numbers, it tells me there's a problem that we have not addressed. There's an elephant in the room that it's still plaguing our nation. And that falls along with what Heroes in the Sky does as far as education. But one of the other ones I got Sean with last night was, female veterans are 144% more likely to use a firearm to die by suicide than the female counterpart. 144% more likely. And when we look at all these statistics and we look at why, isolation, despair, you feel betrayed because, like Suzy was talking about, you saw something happen, but you can't say anything because then you're the tattletale or you're the problem, or killing your career.
Our climate surveys are going to be bad now, and I can't have that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, it's accountability. The reason your leadership told you not to say when you got back from that deployment and you did that screening, they did not want you to say you had a problem because it means there was accountability they had to face and do something about.
And I don't know. Their officer evaluation report would reflect upon that.
Correct. So talking about mental health, did you, serving in that capacity, did you ever catch your mental health slipping as, you went through felt some of that betrayal that you couldn't trust the people around you, or just did you ever hit a dark spot like that where you really had to focus and you just struggled?
I was told, that it's a sign of weakness. So, you just I never thought about it. I just thought, well, this is part of being in the military. And, this is, I didn't, join a sorority, I joined the military, and this is, it's just part of it. And, so I never really, and I thought it was a sign of weakness, I guess, if I felt, that I was having a tough time, when I got back from the desert. My mother kept saying, "You're so angry." And I'm like, yes, I was under a lot of stress, and I come back and then everybody's just clawing to get my attention. I'm just like, I need some breathing room, you know. But I just thought, well, that's just part of being in the military. I didn't really think, and if I complained, I'm weak.
Can I pause you guys for a second? There's an observation that during this that I've just kind of hit me, and when we started it, I know that there's building trust with us too on this level, and I just want you guys to know that it's tough to come onto a podcast and be in front of a lot of people and be vulnerable, right? But as I hear your comfort level, and it's like, and how like similarities that you both have experienced and stuff, it just hits home to me even more that we definitely are not doing enough as a society and as a military culture to make sure that our female counterparts are treated the same and looked upon as the same rather than a problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I hate that you all had to go through this, but I will tell you, I am damn proud of you both and glad that you all are here to tell this story and connect with other veterans that are watching, male and female, to say, wow, how many people are going to be watching this? They're going to say, I can relate to that. I can relate to Suzy. I can relate to Haylee. And you both came from different career fields within the Air Force. And guess what? Similar issues.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I don't talk about it, just because I don't feel like, after talking to other women and listening to their stories, I've heard some horrible stories. And so I thought, well, gee, my military experience was great, because I've heard these horror stories from, speaking with other women within our organization. And just like, I feel terrible. And that's one of the reasons why we started our organization, is just to have something stronger, a way to provide more resources to support them, because I don't know what else to do. I want to help.
Yeah. I think we as women, just in general, this is generally speaking, of course, but we communicate different than men. But I belong to the Legion also, and the camaraderie within the Legion for the men is fantastic. But as women, we relate differently. And so having this group, the Women Veterans of the Coastal Empire, is wonderful, because it's not regimented necessarily. It's not, we don't have the military regimental ideology that maybe the Legions do or the VFWs do. We're having lunch. We're sitting back and having tea. We're talking like friends, and we are friends. And that's how we relate, and that's how we commiserate and relax, and then eventually open up. That doesn't mean that all women are comfortable with that, and maybe there are women veterans out there who would be more comfortable in a more regimented thing, and maybe there are probably many women who would prefer not to talk about anything and not be alone to anything. That's fine. It's just that I think that the Women Veterans of the Coastal Empire, it's a wonderful niche for us to be comfortable in, like a living room environment, so to speak, where we can just be ourselves and talk about the experiences we've had. But I wanted to also mention, when Suzy said we don't talk about it, and my dog is over here getting a drink of water. If you can hear that, I apologize. She's being very loud.
You're good.
Like, you drink a little louder. But not talking about it, that is indicative of military as a whole. And I worked on the medical side of it. And yes, I was dental, but I was right next door to the mental health section of the medical center. And when I first got the David Grant Medical Center in California, there was a banner, for lack of a better word, a sign, for those who were suffering from the Gulf War syndrome. Gulf War syndrome, quote unquote, is how it was on the banner. Please report to mental health. That's what the banner said. Report to mental health and so that was something that men and women experienced. Men and women were all serving in the Gulf War, they were recognized. And I don't mean to divert this to that topic, but my point is that as a whole, as military, if you have an issue, go to mental health. Well, if you go to mental health, you're going to get flagged, and you did.
Your career. Yep.
And there was your career. I worked in dental. Not very many people got flagged for being in dental. However, I remember we saw flyers a lot. I remember very specifically, and this was a gentleman. He was a flyer as a pilot, came in, and of course, just like any medical appointment, you do blood pressure and all that. And so I took his blood pressure. His blood pressure was through the roof. And he immediately got angry and walked out. And I was like, what just happened? And come to find out later, his father had just passed away. But he was so obviously very stressed about his father's passing. But now he knew he was in a medical facility. If I had recorded his blood pressure, that meant the flight dentist, the flight surgeon would get notified. And then his flying would be impacted. And so that is in his situation, it was a man, but that is indicative of a military, in that if you have anything going on that's possibly raise your blood pressure, any mental health, anything at all, but the rest of the world would completely understand. This guy's dad had just died. He has a right. If you're gonna have blood pressure go up, your blood pressure is going to spike when someone you love has just passed, or when you come back from a deployment, you're going to be. Even if it was a peaceful deployment, there's still a transition when you come back from a peaceful deployment, because you're coming back to the life you had before. There's still an adjustment. And then if you come back from a combat zone, that's even more of an adjustment. But yet in the military, there's such a, tamp it down, because you don't want your career impacted. But then at some point, you have to deal with this. And so that is military wide. It's not just male and female. But then as far as women, and of course I can only speak for women, we as a whole tend to hold back our emotions because we have to take care of the family. We have to take care of the people around us. We're very much expected, whether it comes naturally to us or not, to take care of the people around us and not ourselves first. And so I think in that respect, it can be very self-abusive, whether we are aware of it or not, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, shamelessly, we are plugging you as well for GeorgiaWomenVets.org. That's where they can also find additional information out. Suzy, I do feel like both of you individually we're just scratching the surface of also what you guys offer and why you do what your why is. And I do believe, James, at some point we can have both of them on individually to kind of really explore some of the challenges that they also face on a day-to-day with, other female veterans, and even the services and how they may be treated differently at the VA, or like some. I know where my daughter goes to the VA in Martinsburg, West Virginia. They have a phenomenal women's clinic where. I mean, phenomenal. They've done a lot of pouring of resources into it, and there's not a lot of CBOCs or other hospitals that have that extensive women's center too, because it's just different. And I hope they all adopt that, and they continue to put more and more into the female veteran side of things, just because y'all are amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's safe to say that if you're watching this, there will be part twos with both of these phenomenal ladies with what they're doing in the community after they serve this nation. And I want to highlight a few people in the comments as well. A lot of these comments we know personally. Myra, absolutely phenomenal. Amber McLam is an author. So if you're, check her out. She writes. She's an author. She does a lot of consulting stuff. And we're grateful. Everyone in our comment section, we are grateful. Whether I know you personally or not, you came on here and chose to spend some time with us tonight and show these other women veterans some love and support. And I think that's awesome. So, we are hitting about that hour mark, though. So
Would we
the one
would
thing,
do we want to give them
Yep.
time to close out each
Oh,
one? We'll do the outro and have people tune in a couple weeks. But Haley,
yes.
start just if there's any additional information or resources you want to share, and the floor is yours.
Oh, well, thank you. I guess I just want to say personally, if there's any ladies who are watching this and thinking, do I want to join the military or not, and they hear this and they think, oh my gosh, am I going to walk out scarred for life? I will also say joining the military was the best decision I ever made. Hands down, without a doubt, best decision I ever made. My life is as good as it is today because I joined the Air Force. And so if you're thinking about doing it, certainly think more, and really, it's a wonderful, wonderful way of life. It really is. There are resources out there. There are women's groups out there. When you're out, when you're active, there are women's groups out there. I mean, certainly women's group or women veterans of the Coastal Empire, the VA, different VAs have got resources. If you're not happy with one VA clinic, go to another one. Go find the one that you are, because all of them have their own flavor. And there are civic groups too that will help. But if you're just not sure where to go, give me a holler at the VA. I'm happy to help. I sit at the Savannah VA clinic. I won't put my email out here right now because it would confuse things. But please give us a call at the Savannah VA clinic. Ask for Haylee. I'm the only Haylee there. And if I don't know the answer, I will try and point you in the right direction. But I would not undo that choice for anything. I loved it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I concur with that too. Like I said, I joined when I was 28 years old, and but I would not change anything because I wouldn't be here with you guys and my girl Haylee, and I wouldn't be in this point in my life. I wouldn't be part of the Women Veterans of the Coastal Empire. And I'm very, very happy to be a part of this and this community. And our ladies are amazing. Our group is awesome. And so please join us. Please go online or go to our Facebook page and join. We are really excited. We are working with the state of Georgia and they have a new Women Veterans Advisory Council, and to make resources better for our women veterans in the state of Georgia, as well as more things to come to Savannah that they do have in Atlanta, more things that come to Savannah. But yes, I wouldn't change my time in the military. I have some funny stories, some embarrassing, great, funny stories. But yeah, if anybody's ever interested, I push for the 165th. I absolutely love the 165th. And the Georgia Air National Guard. I really have a lot of respect for them. And especially when I have gone overseas, gone around the world, where our unit was involved, and they're like, oh, the air dogs, we love them. And I'm like, oh, that's so nice. It's like somebody saying nice things about your family. You're like, thank God.
Yeah,
I wouldn't change anything. And I'm excited about our organization because, like I said, I want more stuff to be here in Savannah. We are a military town, and also for our ladies, not just here, but in the state of Georgia. So, and thank you for inviting me. This has been really exciting.
Absolutely. And there will be further, we'll definitely take some time to bring you back on individually so we can dive deeper into what each of you do. And Sean, I wanted to say something because we couldn't have picked two guests that exemplify something we were talking about last night. You remember when we were talking about there's an upward of 70% of women veterans that sometimes won't even claim to be a woman veteran. Mm-hmm. And then we picked the two that would come on here and tell you why you should be proud to say you're a woman veteran and what each of you gave back to this country, the service, your community, what the veterans in our comments gave back to this community and their service is just phenomenal that we're a part of this. And absolutely. I'm excited to learn more about what each of you do. Know that you've got supporters from both of our sides, and y'all, you don't get to see Sean that much, but Haylee and Suzy get to see a good bit of me at Vet Council, and I'm going to start
sorry.
going back up.
I'm just kidding.
I'm going to start going back up to the VA like I used to on my Mondays and be present again there, and just I'm appreciative of what each of you do and the courage and strength that you had to come on here and talk about your struggles, the high points, and we look forward to having more conversations.
All right,
No,
so
appreciate that.
Thank
Can I say
you.
one
And
last
with
thing
that-
really quick?
Yep, absolutely.
So also, if you're a woman veteran watching and you're not a part of our group, or you're a part of our group and forget that we have a website, on the website, go to the events page. We list all the events that we're doing, our monthly meetups, anything out in the community. And so you can see that. Come join us. Tomorrow we'll be in Sylvania, Georgia. And then on the 27th, we're going to be back down in Brunswick. So please come join us for lunch and community, and you're always welcome.
So what time, before we get off, tomorrow you'll be in Sylvania. So what are the details? What time? Where do they need to be if they want to join?
Sure. So Sylvania, Georgia at Billy Joe's. And it's a veteran-owned business at 11:30 for lunch.
Okay. There you go. Do we have any
All right.
events coming up to VA, Haylee, that we need to know about?
On the 17th is our drive-through baby shower, but that is typically kind of a scheduled thing. So what that is, it was born during COVID. It's our female veterans who are expecting, who might be in need. And so the drive-through part came from COVID. And we just kind of kept it going because people like it. And so they're scheduled through the women's health department or women's health clinic. And they come in and they pick up things they're needed. We have it all staged and ready to roll. I wanted to do kind of a women resource fair, but it didn't get approved through public affairs this year quick enough. And so we'll push forward to next year or maybe a later date. But yeah, that's a big deal every year for us to push that, or to the drive-through baby shower. So it helps a lot.
My daughter has participated in that,
Yeah.
specifically during COVID, and that was freaking awesome.
Great. That's awesome.
Yeah, so,
I wish I had
yeah.
known about it when I was having my kids. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't have that then. So yeah, it's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. That's good to know.
All right.
Well, outstanding. Well, we'll close out. We thank you to both of you, and we will be.
Thank you so much.
I will be in contact with each one of you to bring you back on so we can focus more on individual missions and dive deeper into that stuff. You both did great. Thank you for all the comments.
Fantastic
Everyone in the
job.
comments did great. And then we're going to close it out with our, if you had nerves, you couldn't tell. Y'all did phenomenal.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep. So we'll close it out with a word to our sponsors real quick. I just want to thank the American Legion Post 135 in Savannah. They're located in historic downtown Savannah at 1108 Bull Street. They're a member of the largest veteran service organization in the nation. They were founded on the principles of service to our veterans and to our community, state, and nation. Their membership is open to any veteran who has served honorably and to active duty service members. They are home to the local 1110, Betty Bombers, Brighter Day, Centennial Bean, and Lee Chai, and their bar is open to the public. The best part about this, if you want to host a public event there, contact our friends, contact Haylee, contact anyone at the post, and you can use that beautiful space. And they'll rent it out to you, and you guys have a great time. So thank you to American Legion. Thank you to Annie Montenegro from Ross Realty, AnnieSellsGeorgia.com. Phenomenal realtor. She's expertise is through the roof. Her phone number is on the screen right there. Get a hold of her. We also want to thank Mari Bennett as well. Realty One Group Inclusion. Mari Search Homes in Savannah.com. Her number's up there. And just know when you work with Mari that she turns around and she turns some of that support right back to the veteran organizations in the community. So she does a phenomenal job. So thank you everyone for being here. Heroes in the Sky out. And we look forward to having many more meaningful conversations with you ladies and many more veterans and service, those ones making a difference in our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
used to think healing was supposed to sound heroic. Like victory speeches. Like medals hitting a wooden table, like somebody finally saying, "You made it." But healing? Healing sounded more like silence. Like sitting in the truck too long after work, because home felt safer when the engine was still running. Like staring at a grocery store aisle, trying to remember why your heart suddenly started racing. Like waking up at 2:13 in the morning, sweating through memories you never asked to keep. See, they trained us to survive the battlefield, but nobody really taught us how to survive ourselves afterward. Nobody talked about how trauma follows you home wearing civilian clothes. How it hides in fireworks, crowded rooms, empty bottles, divorce papers, missed phone calls, and the sentence, "I'm fine." Especially that sentence. I know veterans who carried entire teams on deployment, but struggle to carry groceries inside the house now. Men and women who could navigate chaos overseas, but can't navigate their own thoughts when the room gets quiet. And still, they wake up. Still, they fight. That matters. You hear me? That matters. Because hope isn't always loud. Sometimes hope is just making the appointment, answering the phone, talking for the first time, saying, "No, I don't think I'm okay." That's courage too. Maybe even the purest kind. See, the world loves the image of the warrior, but healing asks something harder. It asks the warrior to become human again, to let people in, to trust again, to stop apologizing for wounds nobody can see. And that process, it's ugly sometimes. There are setbacks, bad nights, anger that shows up uninvited, days where depression feels heavier than body armor ever did. But there are also moments, small moments, where light gets through. A kid's laugh, a sunrise after a sleepless night, brothers and sisters sitting around a table finally telling the truth, a stranger saying, "Me too." That's where healing begins. Not in pretending the trauma never happened, but in realizing the trauma doesn't get to write the ending. You survived war. You survived loss. You survived becoming someone you barely recognized. Now comes the hardest mission of all, believing you deserve peace too. And maybe peace doesn't mean forgetting. Maybe peace is learning that your scars are not proof you're broken. They're proof you kept going. So to every veteran still fighting battles nobody sees, you are not weak for needing help. You are not forgotten. And your story, it is not over.